Hey everyone, it's Sunday, so it's time for story time. I'm not in the classroom today because I'm in the store after close. And the reason I'm doing this is you can hear a bunch of the birds behind me. And you can hear some of the water going on the tanks behind me. Like this is all the salt water and coral, and this is a big saltwater tank. And if you listen closely, you can also hear like the crickets and the frogs and everything going. The reason I'm doing it like this is because we're reading a book called Do You Speak Fish? And this one is by DJ Corchin and Dan Dougherty. Now, I met Dan earlier today at a Comic-Con. He's a really, really cool guy. And he recommended this book because it's one of his new ones. And it's about how we communicate. So you can hear all the birds squawking because they're all communicating in a certain way. We don't necessarily know what they're saying until we kind of get to know their personality. We may be saying human words to them like, be quiet, or are you hungry, or what do you want from me, but they don't understand that. It's the same when we talk to our dogs and cats. After a while, we can kind of start to understand what it is that they want, but everybody communicates differently. That includes people. Some of us are on a spectrum that maybe it's difficult for us to communicate in certain ways. Some people can only use their hands. Some people only know sounds. Some people can only write. And some people are full of anxiety or have social disorders where it's really hard for them to communicate. So just because we may not be able to talk to each other in the same way, that doesn't mean somebody is stupid or awkward or anything like that. It just means that we speak a little bit differently. So this story, Do You Speak Fish, is a story about communicating and understanding. So I may not be giving you a lot of animal info this week, but I am going to tell you a little bit about what we hear when we listen to animals. And what it is we try our best to understand what it is that they are yearning for at this point. Maybe they are hungry, or maybe they're a little anxious because some of the lights are still on, or there might be somebody walking around. But communication is very, very important. It's important in our daily lives with our teachers, our friends, and our parents. And it's also important with our animals to try and understand everything that's going on. So, with that, we are going to read Do You Speak Fish? And look, Dan even signed it for me. So, a boy ran into a fish. He said, "Hello, fish," but the fish didn't reply. "Hello, hey fish, I'm talking to you." But the fish just looked at him. "How rude," the boy said as he walked away. The boy ran into a lion. He said, "Hello, lion," but the lion just ignored him. "Hey, lion, don't be rude. I'm talking to you," the boy screamed. That was a bad idea. The boy ran into a bee. He said, "Hello, bee." The bee didn't say anything. The boy threw his hands in the air and yelled, "What's your problem, bee?" That was a bad idea too. The boy came across a tree. "Hello there," the tree said. The boy was surprised. He didn't expect the tree to say anything. "Did you just say hello?" the boy asked. "It would be rude not to," said the tree. "I agree. This fish I talked to is very rude. She just ignored me." "Well, do you speak fish?" the tree asked. "Why would I speak fish? I'm a kid." "Why would the fish speak kid? She's a fish," the tree said. "Everyone should speak kid. That's the way it is." "Not for a fish," the tree explained. "But wait, I understand you," the boy pointed out. "I learned to speak kid from a frog," the tree replied. "Well, I don't speak fish," the boy grumbled. I can teach you, the tree offered. You speak fish, too? A carrot taught me, the tree replied. Kidding! I'm kidding, the tree laughed. Everyone knows carrots can't talk. So the tree taught the boys to speak fish. The boy went back to the fish and said, "Hello, fish," except this time it sounded more like lerp, lip, lip, lerp, lerp. The fish smiled and said, "Blurp, lip, lurp." Suddenly the fish didn't seem so rude. "Well, thank you. It is a nice day out," the boy replied back. "Blurp, blurp. So long." The boy went back to the lion. "Roar, growl, roar!" The lion looked at him confused. Then he burst out laughing so hard that he fell backwards with his legs in the air. The boy looked puzzled. He wasn't sure if what he said came out right. Maybe it was better that he didn't know. The boy was feeling a little embarrassed when he ran into the bee again. "Hello," the bee suddenly said. Stunned, the boy replied, hello, you speak kid?" "A little bit. A fish just taught me. She said a boy was kind enough to learn fish, so she thought she should try to learn to speak kid, and a tree taught her." That made the boy happy. From then on, the boy, the bee, the fish, and the lion would sit by the tree each day and share stories. Sometimes they would speak kid, sometimes they would speak fish, or bee, or lion. They always worked to understand each other. And their world got a whole lot bigger. Oh, and just so you know, the boy said, "Did you know the boy told me his feet smell worse than hippopotamus breath?" So, this is an excellent book talking about communication. And so, just like I said at the beginning of the video, not is it only about some people who have anxiety or just problems communicating and getting words out. This also really applies to people who speak second languages. So you may have kids in your class that are foreign exchange students, or their parents are from another country and maybe they talk with accents. This is really important because it takes a lot to be able to speak 2 languages. Not to mention the people who speak 3, 4, 5, or 6 languages, because you have to rewire your brain and think in different ways. And so if you have somebody in your class that's maybe from another country and they have trouble speaking English, you have to remember that's not their first language, and it takes a lot for them to be able to translate things in their head to then into your language and learning to speak a way that you can understand. So next time you think about that, I want you to put it in perspective of what it would be like to go to another country and try speaking their language. Because I've tried that, and man, is it hard. Because you think you might be able to communicate, and then you realize it's really hard to translate words, and it's hard to understand somebody in their native tongue. So never make fun of somebody if they can't correctly communicate with you, because you don't know. It may not be that they speak your language, it may be that they have some social problems or some mental problems and everything, and we have to take that into consideration. So I hope you learned a lot about communication. I hope you learned a lot about what it is for our animals around here and how they communicate in different ways. Like even behind me right now, with these blue lights on and the white lights off, that means everything in these tanks are communicating in a different way and sending out different chemicals. So there's all kinds of communication going around us at all times. So I hope you learned a lot, and I want to thank Dan for getting me this book and signing it for me and reading it tonight. So have a good night.